Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 3 of God Roll. Today is our Halloween special,
Ooh,
so it'll be a bit of a
spooky.
spooky episode,
Spooky episode.
and it's going to be very listener friendly. So, once again, another listener friendly episode. You know, when we do have more um, visual episodes, we will make that pretty apparent in the beginning, maybe even in the the description of the video, stuff like that. And then obviously, we'll keep all the audio ones to Spotify and stuff once we get those uploaded to there, whenever that is. I don't know if we can like pre-upload episodes, if that's how it works, or anyway.
Figure it out one, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah. So for our first topic for today, I just kind of wanted to get an idea of what you guys been playing leading up to Halloween. Have you guys been playing anything spooky, or just what have you been playing? Just let me know.
I was
You know
gonna
the
say
NFL
I've not played a
Yeah.
lot.
No, this man working hard.
NFL.
Well,
Where do you get in the NFL?
You know how the NFL has like bye weeks where you do a week and then you play a week and then you're off a week. Yeah, we're having a bye week right now. Just this last week, just nothing has been played.
Yeah,
it's just one of those
that's
weeks.
I guess I'm the only
As
one.
of
Go
ahead.
I've just been playing Space Marine 2. Finished the campaign, as you guys know.
Well, you were a couple weeks behind us, so about
Yeah.
time you catch up.
I was, but it's good. It's good. I enjoyed it.
And you only got one spoiler from me.
Yeah, which honestly,
My bad.
To be honest, if I was caught up on my lore, I would have already known that. So you're good. In hindsight, I apologize.
My bad.
Yeah, as of the last couple episodes that I've already mentioned, I haven't really played a whole lot. But the last game that I did play within season, which I'll probably I'm actually playing pretty soon, is Outlast Trials. That's one of my current favorite spooky horror-esque kind of games to play. And they're always updating it, which is nice. Quality of life changes, just adding more things. And overall, I feel like it's one of the better current era of horror games. There's not a whole lot out there right now, but it is definitely among the better versions of scary games to play right now.
Sweet. Okay. So, well, I guess that wrapped up that section pretty quick. So I only have one more small topic to go over before we go into. Oh yeah, I guess I should just mention it since I haven't mentioned it yet. So all of us have picked 3 horror games that that we believe are good horror games. You know, something that maybe you should try out if they sound interesting. Now they're not like all exactly horror games. They could just be games with horror elements in them, but with like usually a large emphasis on horror. You know, like being scared and spooked is like a large part of the game. So before that, though, what I'm going to do is, because this was what me and Ian originally thought of for the video idea before Josh thought of the better idea of making it video games instead. So I'm going to ask each of you, including myself, pick one horror movie that you think everybody should watch this Halloween, or do you think would be a good
Terrifier
watch?
3.
I was fast. Okay, Terrifier 3 from Josh. Do you have to watch the second one or the first one first?
Watch the second one. The first one's not tied with the same characters, I believe. At least not anything that I noticed. But the second and the third are tied together with the same cast. And the third movie had a lot of gut-wrenching moments where even I felt uncomfortable. And I've watched horror movies my entire life.
Awesome.
And it was so much that even the main actor for Art the Clown, at one part in the movie, I won't spoil what happens, of course, but at one part in the movie, he got so queasy, he thought he was going to throw up. And it's like, he's a horror actor as his profession,
Yeah, considering
and that still made him queasy.
Yeah, considering what happens in the first one, which I guess was probably... Actually, that probably wasn't practical effects. So I guess if they went more into the practical effects and stuff, I could see how that is definitely a lot more...
Oh, they use a lot of practicals. The second and the third movie... So the first movie uses, a handful of really good practical effects. The second one intensifies that, and the third one takes that down a football field. It goes. The practical effects in that movie are wild. But overall, in my opinion, it'd be either between watching Terrifier 3, or I believe actually just recently on Hulu, Late Night with the Devil just got posted on that. And if you have Hulu, I highly suggest that movie. Another really good movie I'm probably going to rewatch later this week.
Alrighty. Ian, you got a scary movie you suggest? One you've seen before or one that's coming up?
Here's the problem. Everyone has their forte and their genres. Horror is not one of my genres, just not because like I'm scared of them or anything. It's just I've never gotten into them. But I did like within the last year, I finally did see Nightmare on Elm Street. That's not my recommendation. I'm just saying for the sake of for you guys to point at me and go, it took me up until last year to finally watch Nightmare on Elm Street. And it was weird. It was a movie from like what, the 80s? It was weird. It was like you know.
Is it the one with Johnny Depp? Or was it the second one?
The first one, yeah.
Yeah, very young
Depp.
Johnny Depp. Like I first noticed, I was like, "Hey."
I think he had the coolest death scene though, because like,
I
isn't he
agree.
on the bed?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, "No," but yes, it's like just for the sake of context, that's where my position is at. The last horror movie I saw in a theater was The Conjuring 2, and that was 2016. Now,
Wow.
it was pretty good. It was pretty good. I know a lot of people was like, "Huh," but I liked it.
Sure.
Honestly, I had like, if we're getting on Hulu to see Josh's recommendation, look up The Hug. That shit was funny too.
The Hug.
I think, is that little short film
Yes.
that's inspired by Five Nights at Freddy's?
It's that 5-minute one, yes.
Yeah. Okay, I've seen that.
I'm
It
glad
is a
someone has.
it's a Five Nights at Freddy's inspired horror short film, pretty much about Chuck E. Cheese's.
Okay.
I think the premise of it was that it was a test film to see if like some production company was like, hey, we need to make a test movie to see how our equipment runs or whatnot. That's just what
Yeah.
I've heard through the grapevine, but I mean, it worked. It was 5 minutes. Can't go
Maybe
wrong.
it was a test for Willy's Wonderland. Have you guys seen that movie? Is it the Nicolas
Yep, that's
Cage
the one
movie?
with Yep, I've seen that one.
Yeah, it's just a Five
Where he
Nights at
doesn't say a
Freddy's.
single line the entire movie.
Yeah, man, it's so good. Honestly, like obviously, like the first time I think I remember Nicolas Cage being in a movie I remember is either National Treasure or Ghost Rider. And
I think for me it was either Ghost Rider or fuck, what was that movie called? It was a movie where it was about this child that was kind of able to tell the disaster, like the natural disasters that were about to happen.
okay.
I forget what the movie was called, but he was in that, and it was like one of the few serious roles that I've seen him play. But the movie's like always stuck with me. Forget the name, but I could tell you all of the scenes that happen.
Yeah, so after watching him in Willy's Wonderland, he gave me a new appreciation for how he can act in more goofier roles. So I actually have a Blu-ray of Color Out of Space, which is an H.P. Lovecraft story made into a movie, which stars Nicolas Cage. So I'm gonna watch that eventually, and I'll let you guys know how that is. But that's also another kind of wacky Nicolas Cage performance I've heard. So I'm excited to see that. That's not my recommendation either, but so you guys done with your recommendations? Ian, you recommended The Hug on Hulu.
Like I just looked up images on it right now just to like, is it really as creepy as I remember? I don't like it. I had to close that tab. I had to stop. I might call my mom.
So my recommendation, I'm gonna cheat because I have two. Only chose two because one of them is a new movie, so it's gonna be a bit harder to see for some.
And to make up for the fact that I don't have a recommendation.
Sure, that too. Even though Willy's Wonderland, I guess, was my kind of contribution to your recommendation since they're pretty similar.
Very good.
But anyway, Alien, the first one, 79. Is it 79?
Oh,
I think so.
That was
I know it's
like
the
that.
70s.
I'd be a fake fan if it wasn't. Alien's my favorite. Yeah, I used to be a Predator guy. Like Predator used to be my favorite.
Whoa.
Too. But like as my mind matured and stuff, and I just learned more about H.R. Geiger himself, and you know the first movie just in general. The first movie, unbeatable, cinema, absolute cinema. It's not as scary as it may have been, you know, back in the day, but it's still so good. If you have never seen it
holds up.
before, I still think it holds up. Yeah, music is great,
Especially its
visuals are
practical
great.
effects too.
Yeah, the sets are great. Oh, those sets. Those sets have inspired so many movies and other horror movies and space movies in general, or sci-fi, I should say.
I'm pretty
Um,
sure, speaking of Alien, the new movie,
Romulus.
Romulus, also
Yes,
went back to the practical effects
that was my
that they
second
used to use.
recommendation. Actually, was Romulus because
Yep.
I saw
That one,
Romulus in theaters because obviously I'm
I
a
have
huge
yet to
Alien
see it.
fan. Okay, so I won't spoil it obviously because Josh, you haven't seen it. But and obviously I wouldn't want to do that here if it's my recommendation. But Romulus is okay on my scale of top three Alien movies. It goes Alien, like the first one, Alien
Mhm.
2, then Romulus, then every other
Okay.
Alien after that. It's that good, and it's only below Alien 2 because Alien 2 just has nostalgia. If I was going to be a subjective, I genuinely think it's better than Alien 2 because it has more horror and less action, even though there's still
Okay.
action in it. But it's almost like a perfect blend of Alien 1, Aliens, and then Alien Resurrection, the one where Ripley's a clone.
Hmm.
That's more towards the end of the movie. That's where the influences come in, and obviously a little bit of Prometheus as well, because
Yeah.
they're trying to fit it into the timeline. But
I
it's so
remember
good.
Prometheus was like a fever dream.
Yeah, the practical effects are amazing. The kills are awesome. Like, oh, the kills are so good, bro. You just like it, if you thought you saw everything you could with acid blood kills, they take it to the next level. Like it's ooh, I can't recommend it enough. Alien Romulus and the first Alien, must watches, must watch, absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Huge bias though, of course.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really say that my suggestion is really a huge bias because like I only recently got into the Terrifier movies, but let me tell you, bro, they have some very fucking creative ways of killing people.
No, yeah,
Like those, especially in the third movie, I've never seen a death scene anything like some of those.
yeah. The
It's
clown
wild.
Art the clown. I can definitely see him being one of those pop culture icons from now on, just like
Oh,
Scream
100%.
or Ghostface and
Yep.
Freddy Krueger, stuff like
Well,
that.
he that clown guy did just do a music video shoot with Ice Nine Kills, and that was pretty cool.
I didn't
Yep.
realize
He
that was a
also
music
went
video,
to
but
Comic Con.
that was pretty sweet. It was over the top. I thought that was actually part of the movie for a second. I was like,
Oh,
"What? This is weird."
what
But
is
then when I
Miles
found out it
Dimitri
was like a
Baker
music
doing
video,
here?
I'm like, "Oh, now that I know it was a music video, that goes hard."
Yep.
Ice Nine does kind of. I saw them once. I was like, eh. Second time, I was like, okay.
Oh yeah,
And I think I think I need to see him a third time.
for those listening, the music video we're talking about, it's just Terrifier is in the crowd of, I guess, this band, and people just start killing each other. Like they start mosh pitting and they just start murdering each other and stuff, and chopping each other in half, slitting each other's throats and stuff. Like the crowd, and then Terrifier gets up on stage, kills the lead singer, and then starts playing like his tiny piano and shit, and making like clown noises, like honks and stuff to
Yep.
the beat. It's so good.
Yeah. Terrifier, great franchise right now.
Yeah, I'll have to watch the second and the third one because I've seen the first one like when it first came
Mhm.
out with Leah and one of my friends Dylan. Um, I thought it was pretty good. I liked it because if I remember correctly, that's like there's like a scene where they're at like a party, a Halloween party or something, and it gets really weird and everyone ends up dying. Is that the same movie?
In the first one,
Yeah.
I don't know.
And then like because like Art's going around on Halloween killing everybody, and there's like a side plot going on where there's people at a party.
Yeah, they were talking about it like on the radio or something like that. And then the two main girls that you see in the beginning were just leaving the party, and then they stopped to get like food and other stuff, and then
Yeah.
this intros into the actual movie.
The one thing I like, the one kill I remember the most is the lady naked upside down getting sawed in half with a chainsaw.
Yep. Yep.
That was.
Oh, don't worry, they get more creative.
Oh, I know. That's what I'm
God.
saying. I was like, that was already pretty. Like when I saw that, I was like,
Damn.
that was hard to watch. Like I was like, oh, like peeking through my fingers, like at it. I'm like, oh, I can't watch.
Yeah. There was one part in the new movie because April and I went to go watch this in theaters, and there was one scene in the new movie that was so very creative and gruesome that I almost couldn't finish watching it.
Final
Like
Destination levels.
like
Even
I love
worse.
seeing things like that, but even like my stomach was turning. I was like, ooh, God.
See,
But
that's the thing is like some people will see that and be like, well, it's just too much. They're just doing it for shock value. And it's like in certain circumstances, I would agree with you. Like when anything that comes with that has to do with like children or like abuse,
mhm,
like severe abuse against women specifically, you can be like, okay, that's just fetish bullshit, right? But when
yeah,
it's just like in general, just a lot of gore and a lot of like really creative, gory kills, and people are like, "Oh, this is too much." It's like, no, that's what horror is. Horror is an
yeah,
extreme feeling of disgust, fear, um,
uncomfort
yeah,
or
and
discomfort.
yeah, just uncomfort in general. It's like
It's not supposed to be nice.
exactly like
Yeah,
horror is supposed to make you feel uncomfortable. It's supposed to make you think about it for years after. Like, why do you think I'm still thinking? Why do you think I still remember the chainsaw and getting chainsawed in half
yep.
upside down part from Terrifier
And
1 because it
and
was
dog,
that visceral and like shocked me that much.
the beginning was so bad that apparently in a handful of theaters around the country, people were leaving or throwing up because of how like
Bad it was, yeah. I
just
heard that too.
yeah, it was at first like there's this in that first initial scene you see Art, he's about to go do something, you're like, oh okay, well maybe he's just gonna, and then it happens and you're like, oh no.
See, you mentioned
But
it like stuff being visceral, Mac. Why do you think none of us in this cast right now will drive behind a truck carrying wood, like
oh yeah, Final
tree
Destination
trunks?
style, absolutely not.
I was just gonna
I'm
say,
getting around that bitch.
a Final Destination has ruined that for me. I would not drive behind any transports. I will pass one
Yep.
immediately.
Absolutely
I
not.
I will go 120 to pass a bitch if I have to.
Yeah, 120 for you is a lot faster than 120 for me.
Yeah,
Um,
120
alright.
mile per hour.
So is that everybody's
Yep.
what's it called?
Think recommendations.
Yeah. So what do you guys think? Do you think we should go like everybody should do all three of their games at once, or we just do one game at a time until all of our games are done?
I'd say let everybody talk about theirs one after another. So
Okay,
like
so like you
Ian
talk
talks about
about
his 3 games, you talk about your 3 games, I talk about my
Hell
three
yeah.
games.
well, Ian went first last time, so Josh will get you to go first this time. So
Oh my
Okay.
God,
Josh,
smack
from the
my
ones
mic.
you gave me here, you gave me Outlast Trials, Phasmophobia, and Dead Space. So go
Yep.
ahead whenever you're ready.
So Outlast Trials, like I was stating earlier, it's one of those new refreshing games. If you've ever played the Outlast games in general, this is the multiplayer version. You can play up to 4 player co-op in PvE, and there's a bunch of different trials or tasks that you have to do. And these trials get harder and harder as you go through them. You get more enemies, you get harder enemies, different types of enemies. Where in the first one you got, 3 different kind of entities, one of them being the warden. You get your brutes, and then you get, I forget what she's called, but she's some motherfucker with a butcher knife, or no, not a butcher knife, a machete.
Okay.
Um, and you'll see a lot of enemies like that, and you have to dodge them while completing your tasks and objectives that you're given. Um, the game's really fun. You have a certain currency that you can get to quote unquote escape the trials. Once you get up to, I believe it's 20 of these tokens, you can run through the final trial. And that final trial is supposed to be your escape. But in reality, it's more of like a prestiging method. So it's like how many times you were able to get through that. And the final one is absolutely the hardest because you don't get any of your gadgets. You don't get to use any of your perks. You literally are going in bare bones and have to dodge all types of enemies. And it's a little bit longer than most of your trials. And you're still completing your objectives. You can't be seen whatsoever. You have to stay 100% hidden. And if you get spotted, it's pretty much game over. Like you have to restart. Um, but yeah, overall, Outlast Trials, 10 out of 10. Would recommend it. And they do some cool Halloween events. And in the main lobby, you can play chess or arm wrestle against your homies and make them hate you. So it's cool.
That's pretty sweet.
Um,
I like waiting games like that.
yeah, it's just nice, something to kick or pass the time, kick to the shit. After that, Phasmophobia. Everybody's heard of it. It actually just recently got announced to be coming to consoles. which is super nice, which is another reason why I wanted to talk about that. Phasmophobia, you are a ghost hunter. Obviously, you're running around. You're going to try to find different types of evidence. There's different tiers of difficulty, different locations that you can go to. And there's a lot of different gadgets to use to find the evidence. And they're pretty frequently updating it. It's a small team of developers, just a little indie game, but cost a couple bucks. Game's really fun to play. If you want to shoot the shit for like 30 minutes, an hour or so, it'll pass the time pretty quick. And
Okay.
it's, like I said, it's coming to console soon. It'll be on Xbox and PlayStation, I believe, this month. Moving forward, we're going to go to Dead Space. Dead Space is a classic. I'm not talking about the remake. I'm talking about Dead Space 1 from the early 2000s. That game mentally scarred me as a child. Playing that and then seeing the creatures that you have to deal with, because you're pretty much your average Joe Schmo using like random, I guess, tools. They're not even like really, they're not guns for the most part, not until later. But you start off using like a saw or like a nail gun or something like that. And they're futuristic, of course, so they're more weapon-esque, but you start off using stuff like that to dismantle and slay these monsters that you have to encounter. I forget if it was the first game or the second game, but there was one that had a weird fetus section.
First one, I believe.
And yeah, I was gonna say, I think it was the first one. You're walking down a corridor, and in a room, there was a baby or a fetus that was transformed into these mutants, right?
Yeah.
And that jump scared the ever living shit out of me when I was playing it at like, I don't know, 10 or 11 years old. But overall, Dead Space, really good game. The first and the second one, in my opinion, are much better than the third one was. I feel like the third one went kind of more hack and slash, less
Action-y.
Horror.
It was in that time.
It was more of like an action game. Yeah. And some people try to argue, oh no, it's just because you could play with people. And I was like, even playing it by myself felt more of an action game than a horror game.
Yeah, it did the same thing as the Resident Evil games at the time. Resident Evil 5, Resident Evil 6. Like, they were just more action horror than horror. And speaking
which
of Dead
kind of
Space
made a flop
1,
for me.
The most memorable part of that game, first one, I don't know if you guys remember, but when you're walking down the hall and like you hear something and whatever, and then like this giant necromorph tentacle just starts fucking grabbing you and pulling you down the hallway and shit, and you have to shoot at it to make it let go of you. That was probably my favorite moment, and that still sticks with me to this day. I think I stopped playing after that and didn't touch it ever again. Because
I think
I was
when
young
that
enough
happened,
I was like, nope. Because back then I hated horror, and I stayed away from it, and only I like creepy looking things and spooky looking things, but I didn't like being scared. So I just stayed away.
I liked being scared. So when that happened and I got jump scared by this giant fucking tentacle that was coming to grab my coochie, like I was shitting the bricks.
Yeah.
And then I paused the game, walked away for like 30 minutes, and then I came back and continued playing afterwards. But that one made me stop. I was like, fuck. There's not many games that have ever made me like stop and pause the game for a second and take a breath. Like usually I could just keep trucking through. But that one, especially being younger playing it, oh yeah, I had to pause for a second. But yeah, those are my 3 games that if you haven't played, I recommend them.
Alrighty, Ian, you want to take it?
Dude, I'm just kind of getting a refresher, and I googled the necromorphs, dude. I am even today. I'm just like shit. I have very vivid memories of my brother's friends playing this very early on on the good old 360, and I'm like, "What are you guys doing?" And I'm just like,
Oh yeah, and the kill animations, like whenever you died, those were pretty good, really brutal.
Oh yeah, they were definitely brutal.
There's the one that's used as like a YouTube thumbnail for eons, where it's just Isaac strapped to a chair and it's like his eyeballs, like he's about to get stabbed or something or poked out.
That always reminds me of the Final Destination shit too.
Yeah.
Things with eyeballs like that, like the LASIK eye surgery one.
Oh my god!
In Final Destination, that scene mixed with the Dead Space needle to Isaac's eye scene always fucked me up.
Oh my god, the eye surgery. Ugh.
I
want LASIK, but not even that.
You want to take it away, Ian, with your games?
Hell yeah, I do. Josh wanted to talk a lot about Outlast Trials being fun with, other people. I think about Dead by Daylight. Now, I only played it for probably 3 hours at most back when I did play it. But those 3 hours playing with my then roommates at that time, we're all in different rooms, so we didn't need to be on voice chats, but we were, and it was just so funny. Where I know I'm coming, like being, I can't remember most of the mechanics, but being the killer, I think it's the killer, but coming around the corner and then hearing one of my roommates from across the room just go, ah! It was a lot of fun, but then the same thing would happen to me, and then getting put up on those hooks. I'm just like, guys, come help! And it was a lot of fun, but it didn't have the huge horror element, but it did, because the game you did definitely get jump scared, like just because you don't know where some of these players are or exactly how each of the characters works, and that was my problem. I didn't know anything about the game, and I was like, I'll play with you guys, and then I just downloaded it, got it was handed to me on a silver platter. Just, hey, here you go. And then, but one of those same roommates got me into Dying Light. Now that we played all the way through, and it's exactly like Dead Island. So that's nice. But that extra element of the nighttime mechanics, that was where me and my friend were like, oh, we gotta get inside. That persistent fear was just that I sound weird saying it, but it was fun. That fear of being outside when you're not supposed to, and then the volatiles coming up to you and getting you, like, but then also you get that feeling of just that sense of pride and accomplishment when you finally kill one, and you're like, yeah, I could take on the world, and then one comes, two comes, three, and you're like, oh,
you want to take a second and break down what the game actually is for those listening? Just
absolutely.
Not everybody's going to know exactly what you're talking about.
So, Dying Light is exactly like Dead Island, where it's a craft survival. Well, not necessarily survival, but it's basically a horde mode survival where you craft weapons, craft medicines, craft traps, and you just survive. And then there's a nice little campaign story to go along with it. But Dying Light gave this extra element of like a perk tree. So you could unlock like a drop kick that instantly kills zombies, and you can also do drop kicks which pushes zombies into like spike traps, so you can kill really tough enemies just instantly just by using the environment, which is really nice because being a crafting game, stuff deteriorates. So you got to be able to repair weapons, make weapons, but there are guns in the game, but they come at a very heavy price of when you shoot it, it makes a huge noise and attracts everything. So do not use the guns at night. That I made that very mistake, and it cost me dearly. And the extra element of playing at night, that's where the more tough guys come out. And there's very few.
I thought the whole point of the game was that it was only melee, or did they end up
No.
adding guns to it?
No, guns come very late in the game because they're so rewarding. It's high risk, high reward, but it's almost an easy button. It's almost like it's guaranteed kills, but the zombies are attracted by lots of noise. So that's why you never want to use it at night, because if you attract a lot of noise, you're gonna get a lot of volatiles.
Yeah, it's the first person parkour zombie.
Oh yeah, and the parkour element. I forgot about that.
That's like one of the biggest features about the game.
Yeah, that was.
I forgot about it.
It's Left 4 Dead, but with parkour.
Yep.
I guess it just got me into a lot of trouble because I would jump off of skyscrapers and miss the trash bags by like 3 inches, and then I would die.
Well, that was like a part of a mechanic, isn't it? Is to stay on rooftops at night or something.
Something like that. It's been a few years since I played it, but
yeah, I only played it once or twice when it first came out, and didn't touch it after that.
Oh, yeah. You guys are missing out. That's a lot of fun.
I went through and beat it once. I never played the second one yet, but it was just kind of one of those games that was like, it was fun to play the one time, but it wasn't enough to keep me interested.
Yeah, it didn't have enough replay. It didn't have enough replayability.
Yeah, I felt like after I got through it the one time, I was like, all right, cool. I think I'm good now. Like,
it's pretty satisfying if you just want to pick it up on a random day, or just if you try to get through the story. I thoroughly enjoy it. It gives you a lot. If you have people to play with, you get lots of company. But when I think of
absolutely.
company in horror games, I think of Lethal Company. Now,
Nice transition.
Good segue.
oh yeah, I practiced that one. So everyone, like I'm sure everyone and their grandmothers has heard about Lethal Company, but for those that do not know, it was made by an indie developer, a single dude, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right,
Yep.
Josh?
Yeah.
Yep,
A,
one guy.
a single dude
Zeekers.
made a game. Yeah, on the Unity engine made a single game that outsold. Was what game did it
Call of
outsell?
Duty.
Call of Duty, the newest. Yep.
It outsold the newest Call of Duty from what everyone is estimating, and that's insanity. But it's because it was really, really fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell you, there have been many streams that we have done where on Josh's perspective, he'll be way down a hallway and he'll be like, guys, you there? If we all get separated, and then just hear the most guttural, ah! You just see someone just screaming, running across. And he goes, oh, well, we should probably get out of here.
You know what that reminds me?
Yep.
We should probably do a Lethal Company recording to go along.
Oh
with
my
the
gosh.
special.
There's so much. There's been a lot of new stuff added. We really do need to pick that up.
Because at this point, with how the recording's going, we're blowing through this a lot faster than I expected. So maybe we'll just have this as like an hour-long episode, just a little nice short one. And
That's fine.
Maybe we can do like a Lethal
Yeah, because
Company.
we got people are gonna be listening to this on the holiday. They got candy to go get. That's what people do, right?
Something like that.
So yeah, further on about Lethal Company.
Man,
I haven't had more fun playing a horror game ever. I don't know what it is, but I'm completely okay with being scared as long as I know there's other people there. It's just, I don't know why, but it's hard for me to play single player horror games alone if there's no one else there, because I'm just like, I get too in my head. But Lethal Company, man, I don't know, like it's just, it hits this spot because it's like a perfect blend of not realism, immersion,
Mm-hmm.
along with actually being scary. And I think it's best with mods, especially when it comes to stuff like mimics. Because with the mimics, if you can mod it so they don't have the mask on their face, then they just look like a regular person. So I've been walking around doing stuff separated from someone, had a mimic come up to me who looked exactly like the person I just walked in with, because like they just killed them, right? And just so like I'm radioing and be like, hey, where's everybody there? Like, where are you guys? And then this guy comes by, like the mimic comes by, and he starts staring at me. So I look at him, I'm like, oh, hey man, how you going? Let's go this way. And I turn around, just start walking. And then after a couple seconds, I'm like, he's not saying anything. And I turn back, and he fucking kills me. And it scares the shit out of me. I'm like, no, what the fuck? And it was probably like, because like the whole time as I'm walking away from him, I'm like, this is weird. Like, why isn't he saying anything? Is he just like, you know, whatever? And I just had like this uneasy feeling. And it's only as I turn around, I'm like, wait a minute, this, like, is he still following me? And as I turn around, he's like rushing at me, and he just fucking murders me immediately. And then like I'm spectating every episode. The cats, man, the cats.
we
Thankfully, they haven't gotten me yet.
It's gonna be like a compilation by the end of the year or something.
I want it to be.
Shit, what was they saying? Mimics. Yeah, so mimics are scary. Hawkbats.
Not only that, there's another mimic mod where it makes more exit doors, and you never know which one's real and which one's not.
Oh my god.
Sometimes there's some identifiers, like sometimes the light above it's going to be orange instead of red, or if you walk up to it, it'll say feed or something like that, and it's instead of exit. But if you're in a rush, sometimes you're not paying attention to that, and you just see an exit door, and you're like, I gotta get out because I'm already getting chased by something else. And then this door opens up to be a giant mouth, and now you're dead.
Yeah, I remember.
I haven't played any of the new updates. Have you guys?
I haven't played. Actually, here I could tell you. Let me open up. I can tell you the last time I played Lethal Company.
I played it probably almost a year ago at this point, I think.
The last time I played it was February 15th.
God.
It's been a hot minute since I've touched it. It came out October. It actually came out in 3 days a year ago.
Wow, really?
Okay.
Yeah, October 23rd, 2023.
It's probably been like 6 or 7 months since I played it then.
The last time I played it was February 15th.
Yep, same.
They've added a bunch of new stuff, a bunch of new enemies, a couple, I think, of new locations.
Yeah, a couple new moons.
I think the mansion. I don't know if it's new or if it just has a higher spawn right now, but the mansion is like a location.
Yep, Mansion has a higher spawn rate because it used to only spawn on Titan, I think.
Okay.
Or not, sorry, not used to only spawn there. That was the highest chance you'd get of it spawning, and then it had like a 0.001 something % chance of spawning anywhere else. So it was almost impossible to get unless you were playing on Titan, which was at the time the highest moon. But now they have more.
Okay. Anybody else have anything to say about Lethal Company?
I wanna bring up the Ghost Girl really quick. So the Ghost Girl and the eyeless dogs are probably the scariest things I've ever encountered in my entire life, because I remember very vividly our friend Jay. He's like, guys, it's coming after me. It's coming. We're like, what's coming? And us as the other players cannot see the Ghost Girl, but the target player can.
Yeah.
So it's schizophrenia, and it's hilarious. So it's just, but then when it finally happened to me, I actually started hyperventilating. I'm like, guys, it's there. I stuttered over my words, and it was so damn funny. They were all like, calm down. What are you trying to say? And I'm like, I need to run. And it just, I was useless. I had to clock out as an employee for that day. But then some of the funniest things like say if I die from like the bracken or failing a speed check because I fall down ledges so damn much. It's hilarious. Like I miss some of those gaps, and it's really funny.
I'm a terrible jumper as well.
Guilty. There's nothing funnier than watching the last player alive have to be so deathly silent while creeping up to the control pad to pull that lever to get out of there, while the dog is just right there, and it's just going, there's someone here, but I can't see them, but I can smell them. But then, of course, say if their keyboard clicks a little too loud, gone, dead.
Oh, that reminds me of a time James was running from the dogs, and all you could hear is his fucking keyboard. All you hear is this, just in the background, just. and we were like praying that he would stop. We were like, James, please stop. Mute your mic. You're so loud.
You're killing
And then he gets up on the ship. And the dogs are chasing him. And I'm trying to close the door, and the dogs kill me because his keyboard clicks were too fucking loud. It was something.
That's great.
It's also really funny when you're not paying attention and the bracken gets you. So you're like, la da 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 da, and then your camera just turns around. You're like, ah!
Yep. You just hear, and then you're just dead.
Gosh,
awesome moments.
This game is a banger, and I am so glad that it exists. Now, and we're sorry we haven't played it in what
forever.
Months, half a year,
several months. But there's just been other things on the docket, But once our infatuation with like Space Marines calms down a little bit, and we start playing it like consistently but not constantly, I'm sure we'll do some Lethal Company game nights, which desperately needs to happen. This shit was way too funny to just not do.
I think we just need to do some more game nights with the boys in general.
Yeah,
absolutely agree.
100%.
We're looking at you, boys.
Yeah, boys watching. Comment below if you got this far. It's 39 minutes in it. 8 minutes and 49 seconds was the average watch time for the first video. So, I mean, that's fine. It's the first video and it's a smash or pass, so I don't really blame anybody for not watching the whole thing. Let's be real here. But
well, it's weird because my Chinese Bitcoin miner factory didn't watch all of it, so that's weird.
Your what?
My Chinese Bitcoin mining factory.
Is that a person? What are you? You just talking about like a computer? Like, are you farming views?
I
Is
I
that what you're
I own a
insinuating?
warehouse. I own a warehouse full of computers in China that mine bitcoins. So that computer could be on YouTube watching our podcast.
And yet you
But
don't even have a single Bitcoin to share with the homies yet.
Yeah,
Disappointed.
you
it
have
takes a
me
while.
making all the graphics when I could be hiring a fucking artist who has
Graphic artist.
time to do our.
Looking at him.
No, but he doesn't
Don't
have
look at me.
time.
My-
He's busy.
I don't have time. I got a lot of projects I'm working on right now. I got a studio I'm making.
Yeah, we gotta pay this man if we're gonna give him stuff. Like, we're adults
My
now.
time is booked.
Oh, I got it.
Got what?
I dropped the penny.
Oh,
I have a single penny.
pennies are useless for me now. Do you guys know that Canada doesn't use pennies anymore?
Yeah, the
America's
states
trying to
need,
get rid of them soon too.
the states needs to do the same thing.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
just,
we're working on that.
we just round everything
Oh.
to the nearest 5 cents.
Please, I literally had to talk about that drunk last night. I'm like, we need to do this.
Yeah, unless it's debit, unless you're paying debit or credit card, then it's just obviously going to be
Nope. We should
exactly
implement that for
what it
debit.
says.
Oh, you're
People
missing
don't-
out.
People don't
You're
really
missing
pay
out, Mac.
attention.
This is a 2024 penny. This penny is brand new.
Damn, I
And
think
probably one of the last of
penny
its
in-
kind.
I can't remember the last year a penny was in print in Canada. But pennies, people will buy pennies for like a lot, especially older ones, because the older they are, the more copper they have in them.
Yep. Because now they're made with what? Copper and zinc?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like some weird combination.
So if anyone watching has a 2012 Canadian penny, let
Yeah,
us know.
copper and zinc.
I actually may have one somewhere. I used to have me and Leah's old car had a compartment, and when we opened it up, there was just like a whole fucking collection and bag of pennies, and I don't know what she did with them. Just rolls and rolls of pennies. All right. Anyway, moving on, just so we're not getting too distracted. I'll
Yeah,
go
talking
on
about
to
pennies.
we go from scary to pennies. And that's
my
pretty scary.
games.
smell pennies.
So for my first game, sticking with the same kind of theme I went for my movies, my movie suggestions, I recommend Alien Isolation. So Alien Isolation, for those who don't know, is a first-person horror game set after Alien 1, but before Aliens, the second Alien movie. You play as the main character's daughter from the first movie. So Ripley's daughter, Amanda, I believe.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, because it's Ellen Ripley, and then her daughter is Amanda Ripley.
Yep.
So what happens is you're part of a team that has to go check out the Sevastopol station, which is a space station that is used for research or something, or a science station, something like that. It's a research station, I believe. Recently, they took in a ship of their own, which had a xenomorph on it. So now there's a xenomorph breakout inside of the station, and you have to travel around while looking for what happened to your mom, while also avoiding the aliens, because I believe there's multiple. It's not just one, but it makes it seem like it's one. So the main draw of the game is that it's probably like the smartest, or one of the smartest enemy AIs in a horror game. So they will adapt to your tricks. So if you hide in lockers and stuff, it'll learn that and it'll check lockers more. If you hide under tables, it'll learn that and check under the tables more. If you hide in vents, it'll check the vents more, stuff like that. So it's always constantly adapting to your gameplay, yeah, and keeping you terrified. So I haven't beaten it because, like I said earlier, I'm a big pussy with single-player horror games, so I haven't gotten too far in it, but with how far I have gotten, it gets good. The only complaint I've heard is that it doesn't get as scary the longer it goes on, because then they just, like any other Alien game, they introduce more action sequences and stuff, and it kind of takes the fear out of it, and it gets a little bit more repetitive. So then it just becomes more of a inconvenience than the scary. But at least for that first 10, 15 hours of gameplay, it's spooky as hell, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. Especially as a fan of the Alien franchise, it fits in perfectly with the lore, and I do believe it is canon to the lore.
That's definitely a game I need to go back and play again.
Yeah, there's also a DLC where I believe you replay the events from the first game but not like 1-to-1, but it's just kind of like a similar type situation. And there's also a
Gotcha.
mobile game that came out that was kind of like a Five Nights at Freddy's clone. That was kind of
I did play that a little bit.
Yeah, me too. It was kind of like a sequel to this game.
Yeah, I did play that a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, it was interesting.
It was, but Five Nights
Not
at Freddy's clone, like after it was already after its peak, you know,
Yeah,
before the movie.
it was definitely it was fun, but interesting. It's not something that I'd expect to play as an Alien game.
Yeah. Did you play Alien Isolation at all, Ian?
I didn't, but one of my older roommates did, and I watched them play it a lot, and I know I wouldn't be able to do it. Well,
Yeah.
lightly. I say that lightly. I would be able to do it, but if I were to just pick up the controller at that exact moment they were in, I would be like, I don't know why I'm here, but I know I must kill.
Yeah. I have it on my PS4, so maybe if I get a capture card, maybe I'll capture some gameplay of it. Unless
I
it's
think I actually
cheap
got
on
it for
PC.
free on Epic Games. I
I
have it.
I missed it when it was for free.
Yeah,
meant to
I
get
have it right now on Epic Games. So I definitely need to play that at some point.
Yeah, so definitely recommend Alien Isolation. Very good game. Very spooky. True horror game as well. So for my next game, I don't know if you guys have heard of this. It is pretty good. Pretty good. More niche, I believe. It doesn't have a big fan base. But GTFO, or
Yep.
Get the F out. Wait, no, we're far enough in. Get the fuck out.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've already thrown a couple F-bombs in there.
Yeah, I didn't realize. I probably already swore too, or swore.
Yeah.
At some point. So yeah.
I have a clean mouth.
Yeah. So GTFO, or Get the Fuck Out, is a 4-person, I believe it's 4 or 3-person co-op. I can't remember if it's 4 or 3 persons. Anyway,
I believe it's 4.
Yeah, 4-person co-op game. Kind of like Left 4 Dead, but more in the vein of like a stealth shooter. Almost kind of like a mix of an extraction shooter as well. So the premise of the game is you are a squad of 4 prisoners who are tasked with going into this meteor hole. Like there's like this hole made by a meteor. Actually, in the same place where how do I explain this? The lore's kind of funky. So where the meteor hit the Earth that wiped out the dinosaurs, that's where this game takes place. In that crater, there's like a hole. You get lowered into the hole as prisoners. You're like supposedly you're really bad criminals and stuff, so you're forced to do this. You work for this secret shadow company, who is paramilitary in nature, it seems, or almost kind of like a research type paramilitary type situation. So yeah, you're given weapons, melee weapons, and guns, and motion trackers, and other gadgets and stuff that you have to use to complete different missions that they call runs, I believe. And what used to be is that every season was like a set amount of runs, so like special maps or unique maps and objectives and story modes or story elements, because I don't believe they're full on story narratives or anything, but just like bits of story. You can find it in like, through environmental. What's the word I'm looking for? Anyway, the story is not the main thing. It's mainly about the gameplay and the spooks. So the aliens, or the creatures, I guess is better. They're like humans that have been infected with this like alien virus or something, and it makes them turn into like these glowing, like white glowing zombie-like creatures. They have like these split open heads with a bunch of teeth and stuff that like pulsate and glow red. And basically you have to like either sneak around them or coordinate with your team to kill them in succession so they don't stir the hive and cause a whole horde to come after you. There's bigger enemies that you like need to take out, or else they alert everybody in the vicinity. You have limited ammo. You have, it's not like a movement shooter at all, so the movement is a bit clunky and the shooting's a bit clunky, but it's like in a way that it's not frustrating because it adds to the game. It makes you feel, because the thing with horror games is you don't want to feel empowered, you want to feel unempowered. so you want to feel a bit vulnerable. That's where the clunkiness of the gameplay kind of comes in. So it's not going to feel like a Call of Duty. It's going to feel more like a Fallout type shooting game, like Fallout 4. Not old school Fallout. That'd be terrible.
I could not imagine doing that in today's world.
See, it feels, in a way, it's kind of like a tactical shooter, but it doesn't have tactical shooter aspects. Like, you can't lean, you can't... There's only, like, a crouch. I don't think you can prone or anything. You know, it's just simple, very basic controls. And not a lot of stamina either, so you can't run for very long or run very fast. Yeah, it's a very good game, 4-player co-op multiplayer game. It's a PvE game, so there's no PvP at all. It's about $40 Canadian, or $50 Canadian. That's about $40 or $35 US.
I think it's about $35.
Yeah. So it's pretty good. It's good to play with your friends, especially if you guys like more realist. Again, I don't want to say realistic. It's got more of a realistic art style, but obviously it's not very realistic. But it's
a stylistic gameplay. But
yeah. It's very, very
$40 American.
And recently they I don't know how recent it was, but they released all of the previous runs, so that now you can play all of the previous missions that were, currently, or at the time, that were only locked for the season. So you can only play them during that season. So now you can play them all at any time you want. So you can go from the first run all the way up to the last run and see how the game actually evolved, or you can only play the newer stuff. It's up to you.
Yeah.
My last game, though, another acronym game. I'm going to go with... I actually changed this. I don't know if you guys saw this in the chat, but I changed it from Silent Hill, because I haven't played too much of it, to Stalker. More specifically, Stalker Call of Pripyat.
Okay.
So for those who don't know, Stalker is another first-person shooter game. Also, I would say a horror game. There's a lot of horror elements to it. It's very scary because it's another one of those games that, the controls are a bit clunky. The shooting isn't perfect. There's a lot of recoil that you have to manage when you're firing, so you can't just shoot full auto. There's no crosshair while hip firing or anything like that. Enemies are brutal. The difficulty can be pretty brutal. It doesn't hold your hand at all. There's no classic quest markers or anything. You just kind of have to listen to what the NPCs tell you and go on follow the map that way. So if they say go to this place, you find that place on your map and you just walk there and advance the story that way. It's more of a From Software type of questing system. A little better though, because I do believe they let you at least see what your objective is, or what the people told you last. So I think there's a transcript feature, so you can see what people said to you last, or there's a quest. I don't know. It's been a little bit since I played it, but it's a really good game. There are some mods for it to make the gameplay better and feel more modern, but you still keep it very punishing and pretty difficult. It's a lot like Fallout, but less not cartoony, but more. It takes itself more seriously. So there's no humor to it at all, really. It's more dark and gritty. Obviously, it takes place in Ukraine, more specifically the Chernobyl area. The story is that Chernobyl happened, and basically that kind of caused a weird anomalies to start occurring, almost like H.P. Lovecraft type anomalies to start happening. So you'll just be walking, and then randomly the person next to you just explodes into guts and gore out of nowhere, and then where he was standing was just this bubble of warping energy that you just don't know where it came from. It just radiates radiation, and then 4 days later your skin's peeling and your hair's falling out. It's one of those kind of games. So one of the mechanics is you pick up a bolt or a screw, and you have to throw it to see where the invisible dangers are, because it'll activate the anomalies. So you'll throw a bolt, and then right in front of you everything will just explode into sparks of electricity or something. And so you can also walk around with a Geiger counter to help find them as well. So it's a very cool game. They have a second game coming out, Stalker 2, Shadow of Chernobyl, I believe is what it's called. It's going to be coming out in November. I'm very excited for it. It looks like it's going to be just a more updated and polished version of the older games. Mm-hmm. So basically what they're doing is they're taking the maps from all the older games and making one big map and letting you play on it. So that'll be...
Stalker's one of those games that I always see, and I was always tempted to play, but I never actually did. Maybe it's something I gotta play.
Especially looking at its reveal about a year or so ago, I was like, actually looks really cool. So I'll see what the reviews are like, and then I'll consider getting this. Just because I like the way that I like the environment, and then when they showed the clip of them reloading that one AK, I'm like, okay, someone paid attention, like the detail and the details on it and the attention. Like, I'm a gun nut, so I was like, oh, that looks hot.
Yeah, so, I mean, you're wearing the AK guy shirt right now, so.
Oh yeah,
of course you
duh. Yeah, completely forgot about that. Yeah, I forget what I'm wearing.
Yeah, it's made by a Ukrainian studio, and I believe they actually had to delay the game because of the war going on in Ukraine.
External crises.
Yeah. Yeah, so Stalker, Call of Pripyat, or any of the Stalker games, they all play the same. Call of Pripyat is the most recent one. You don't need to have played the other games to really understand what's going on in it, because they're all kind of elusive in their story as well. They're like the Russian equivalent of From Software in my mind. Mm-hmm. The Stalker developers. They have a niche and they stick to it, and I respect it a lot, especially with all of the YouTubers and stuff who've been talking about the gameplay they've been able to play so far. Everybody who's been a previous Stalker fan says that it's just more Stalker and it's better gameplay, and it's just, I don't think it's going to appeal to the mass audiences, but for those who like Stalker and for those who like a tough, no hand-holding survival horror FPS game, this is going to be a good game for you.
And speaking of that, I kind of want to interject with something. I know we had plenty of time to think about things that the topics were going to be about today, but somehow I completely forgot about something that my brother has been very interested in. Have either of you heard of Still Wakes the Deep?
No.
I don't think so.
So that doesn't surprise me, because it seems like this is a rather small development team, but it actually looks pretty deep. So I guess the premise of this game is it's set in the 70s, and you're a Scottish oil rig worker, and I guess a storm hits, and it knocks out power to the oil rig and whatnot, and you gotta get off it. But all of a sudden, monsters, sea creature monsters start appearing. Ooh, and it says right here, first person, 0 combat system. You must rely on stealth and solving simple puzzles to survive. And it's single player only. So, sorry, Mac, you're going to have to actually try it.
Looks, it's already released?
Oh, yeah, it's out.
Okay, yeah, I'll definitely
June
try
18th.
This.
Still Wakes the Deep.
$40.
And I don't know how I forgot about this, but and I guess my brother's obsessed with just Scottish people, because he's like, oh, they're so cool. It's just, forgive me if anyone. But apparently there's an achievement where you can listen to it in full Gaelic, and it's for us English speakers, shit. It's a completely, it sounds completely foreign, but apparently you can listen to it in full Gaelic, and you get an achievement for listening to it in full Gaelic, and I'm like, okay. It's it's I'm watching a dubbed anime.
Hell yeah. As someone of Scottish and Irish origin, approved. Approved.
Approved.
Wait, how much you want to bet there's going to be a Kelpie in this bitch?
Probably.
Well,
for those who don't know, have no idea. Kelpies are basically horse sirens. So it's a horse that makes you want to ride it, and then once you get onto it, you get stuck to it and you can't get off, and then it rides into the water and drowns you. And it's from
if it's not in the game,
Gaelic mythology. So
if it's not in the game, that's a huge missed opportunity.
Yeah, just honestly, any Gaelic mythology or monsters like that, banshees, the Dullahan, stuff like that would be cool to see. Because I mean,
Yeah.
for Scottish people may not like to hear it, but Scots are just what happened when the Irish and the Vikings got together, man. The Irish and the Vikings went over to England, and they were just like, "Ah, we're gonna fuck up here, eh?" And then, yeah, they made the Scottish people. So,
Yep.
all you Scots, you're part Irish and part Viking. Well,
No.
most of you, obviously not every Scottish person, but true Scots, the Gaelic Scots.
Yeah, right. I'm looking at scores right now. We're looking at 7s and 8s out of 10s.
I saw 9 out of
7
10 on what was
Yeah,
it?
PC Gamer said 86 out of 100. So
Steam's rating it very positive as far as reviews go, so community is loving it.
I yeah. I promised my brother I'd look into it, and I finally did.
I think I've seen one of the YouTubers I like to watch, Special Ed or Eddie VR. He's part of the boys group, and I think I started watching his playthrough, and then I got busy and couldn't continue watching it. But maybe I'll go back and continue watching it.
Okay. Actually, I have a little bonus game I want to talk about because it's not that scary, but it is a horror game in the way that it's got horror elements to it. But I want to talk about Carrion. I believe this is also another Indian. Why did I say that? Indie game. Holy shit.
Ow.
It's another. I believe it's another indie game. It's kind of like a pixelated game, but you basically Carrion. You play as this ball of meat, pretty much a small little ball of meat, and you have to escape this facility that you're trapped in while killing all the scientists and all the soldiers defending it and stuff. And as you kill more people and absorb them into your body, you get bigger and bigger and bigger. You're basically like this just giant meatball, and you have to use your tendrils to like latch onto the wall and pull yourself places. So like if there's like a room of people, you'll shoot out your tentacles towards the glass on the other side, and you can smash through the glass and then like roll full force into them and absorb all the people all at once, and it's super gory and it's really cool. So it's another game I recommend. It's where you play as the monster. It's very, very fun. I played a little bit of it, and it's a good little game. I believe it goes on sale quite a bit as well, so it is pretty cheap compared to other games. So yeah, Carrion, Carrion, very, very good game.
Hell yeah.
Anybody else have any other bonus games they want to throw out there, or any movies, anything spooky they want to add?
I got one more.
Creepypastas?
Oh boy.
It's just another Lethal Company-esque game, but it's
Ooh.
content warning.
Yes, bro.
Yes.
Content warning was a very fun game. It still is a very fun game.
I should have
because,
got it when it was free.
It's just like Lethal Company. There's so many things that can go so right or so many things that can go so wrong. But with content warning, you're pretty much posing as like
Content creator.
investigator YouTubers. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
content creators. And honestly, I thought it was really fun. I still think it's really fun. I enjoy playing it every now and then when I have the time. But that's another indie game that I would like to suggest. You play as a content creator, you go down into the deep depths, you try to film as many paranormal things as you can without getting absolutely yeeted off the face of the planet. And it's just, it's a fun concept. And just being able to get the money from getting a super high amount of views. Like sometimes you'll get a couple hundred and sometimes you'll get several thousand and you're like hyped about it, and it's cool. It's fun again.
Yeah,
I remember a time you and I were playing it, and we found this one monster, and I was like, "Here, Josh, get a picture of me with the monster," and it picks me up. I'm like, am I in frame? Am I in frame?" And he's like, "I think I got it. I think I got it." And then the monster throws me like towards the
At
exit.
me.
Oh my god! And it hits Josh. Oh my god! It was like you just see him recording in the camera angle. You're like, I got it, and you see the camera like fall down to the ground. And then the next
Yep.
the next cut frame, he's like running. It was too good, too good.
That's awesome.
Yep.
I love that game. I've seen so much gameplay on it, and I still haven't bought it yet, even though it's pretty cheap. I definitely got to get it next time, and we should probably, that's what we should do. We should play Lethal Company, play Content Warning, and then maybe pick another game like that we should all play as like a spooky game night or something.
Oh yeah,
That'd be fun.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
wholeheartedly agree for that.
So if nobody else really has anything else to talk about, I think we'll cut it a bit short for this episode. You know, we reached an hour. I think that's pretty good for a special, because you know, in those, it's not too
It's
much.
the holiday.
Yeah, it's not too much to talk about, and we'll let you guys, you know, get back to your lives. An hour and 5 minutes of your time is already long enough. We don't want to keep you too much longer. So I just want to thank everybody for coming to this episode and watching this Halloween special. This has been Mack again with Josh and Ian for the God Roll podcast.
Absolutely.
I hope you guys enjoyed. Please rate, comment, and subscribe. You know, do anything. Just interact as much as you can. It'll help us.
Hit that bell.
Even if you dislike it, it helps. So
hit the bell.
Yeah, and if you're subscribed,
looking at you,
bell.
Kenny G.
Hit the bell for notifications if you're subscribed. That way you can get our content straight into your veins as soon as it's ready. Alrighty. Well, that has been everything to say. Goodbye.